Hey, happy Friday, everybody. You were tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Media, the undisputed leader in music biz marketing talk. I am Scott, your host, and yes, a man who is enjoying the balmy summer heat of Phoenix and pretending that 118 degrees is normal and fine. My band's playing tonight outside. That is the worst idea ever. But we're going to be over at Janie's this evening in Cave Creek, Arizona. So wish me luck, and hopefully I'll survive that and be back to do another episode. On the opposite side of normal, we have virtual producer Paul. He's out there somewhere. You never see him, but he probably took like a half day and went to go see the Barbie movie, but he's telling everybody that he went to go see Oppenheimer. We know Paul. We know which movie you're going to see. We know you. I'm just saying. So who am I? What do I do? How do you reach me? I am Scott. I run Robertson Communications here in lovely, scenic Phoenix, Arizona. I am a certified story brand guide. I create brand stories, website wireframes, sales copy, PR for my clients. I don't like any type of marketing that bothers and annoys people, which makes me different than about 98% of marketing companies right there. My new book, Just Stop It, Your Survival Guide to Marketing Myths, Mistakes, and Misgivings, is available on Kindle and Amazon and Barnes & Noble and probably flea markets and stuff like that. So if you like the show, you'll love the book. But today I am very excited to welcome to the show Harout Makarian. He is self-proclaimed, he's a roboticist. He builds robotic platforms. He is an innovator and an entrepreneur, an engineer. I mean, all kinds of cool stuff that we can get into. He's a keynote speaker, all over the place. I'm really excited to have on the show today, Harout. Harout, welcome to May the Best Brand Win. It's good to have you.
Thank you for having me, Scott. Happy to be here.
Great. Well, let's just get right into it. So you build robots. You're a roboticist. So maybe for the people that don't really, my show's for a lot of marketing people in a lot of different industries and stuff like that, and not always tech. So maybe you could just kind of explain what that means to be a roboticist.
Basically, a roboticist deals with all kinds of engineering disciplines, from mechanical, electrical, software, how to incorporate various sensors into the system, and how to basically have the robot perform a particular task. I was the recipient of the Distinguished Engineering Project Award from California's Engineers Council for winning the Autonomous Uncrewed Vehicle System International competition, which was a competition where we built a 6-foot-tall fully autonomous robot that went into an obstacle course and autonomously completed the course. This was one of the first robotics achievements in my life. So it kind of went from there. After that, I went and pursued my master's degree in robotics, and I worked with a brain-computer interface where I allowed individuals with severe paralysis propel their wheelchair through their thoughts. So roboticist sounds like a big word, but at the core of it, what I'm concerned with is how to impact people's lives and how to allow them to live better. That's what I'm doing. I mean, the Tesla car could be seen as a robot, right? And anything really. Robot is a vague term, so your tripod could be considered as a robot, right? It's a passive robot. So of course, anything that is dynamic and is includes servos, motors, sensors, and that's what composes a robot. So
wow, I just I just completed a month-long road trip. We were riding in my wife's car, which has kind of robotic distance cruise control. Where it can auto brake the car, and it can do that. And I've never really used that before because I was in California before, and you really can't ever use your cruise control in California because you're always gonna. I mean, you're in traffic with a lot more people, and B, there's always people in the passing lane where you can't use it. But on this trip, I was able to use it. And one thing that I learned was that it drives the car extremely well.
Yeah.
It really does. It's a much smoother ride for the passengers, and it puts what I would consider to be an unnatural amount of distance between you and the car in front of you.
Yeah.
Like it puts, like, you know, the amount of distance that you're supposed to put, the car lengths that you're supposed to be based on the how fast you're going and stuff like that. It actually does that, which feels really uncomfortable. And when you do that, by the way, people do cut in front of you because they're like, look at all this space. Like you put the safe space in there, and then they'll cut in there, and then the computer has to readjust.
Yep.
But I called it driving by laser. And I drove by laser, through almost across the entire country and back. And it was very much more comfortable. It's more comfortable to drive. It's more comfortable to ride.
And it's also,
I mean, yeah.
It gives you fuel savings too. So,
and fuel savings too. I probably did. And, and like I said, I think you just kind of have to experience it for yourself. I've seen self-driving cars at CES in Las Vegas, and they're super safe, and they don't cheat up and do things that we need to do to keep traffic moving. Mm-hmm. Like they'll stop at they'll stop faster than you would expect. And it's a little frustrating to get behind them because they kind of drive like an 80-year-old grandma, and you're like, man, the self-driving car's gotta grow some guts, man. I mean, in Vegas, if you don't move forward at the traffic light and get into that intersection, you will never get into the intersection. Yeah, it is conceivable that you will never be able to enter it.
Yeah, but I mean, these cars are not made for that situation, right? At least not.
Yes.
At least not today. So yeah, that requires more input from the user. So it's I kind of get it. We're not there yet. So, but you never know with AI where we will be in the future, right?
Scary as hell, I would say. But let's talk about you for a second. So let's talk about your autonomous driving, car. What was the biggest challenge on that project of designing that, and the thing you won an engineering award for? What was your biggest challenge in that?
I have to say that it wasn't a car. It was more like it's not a humanoid robot, but it's it's a robot that is about my height, 6 foot tall, with 2 drive wheels. So when it comes to the challenges, this was something that we built from scratch. So we did the design we manufactured it, we assembled it, we even did the boards, like the electrical boards, like the circuit boards. We even designed those. So
wow.
And this was if you're running a business, you can't do all of this stuff and be profitable, right? You have to think of it differently. But
sure.
This was part of a project that we were on during my master's program, and when I talk about the challenges, the most challenging thing is to be on time and on budget, right? That's the most challenging.
There
thing.
It is.
Agreed. For this one, we had about 3 months to do the whole thing. Of course, we're working in parallel, right? So when the mechanical parts are being designed and manufactured, the software people are working on their software, like whether it's computer vision, navigation, right? All that stuff, to make sure that when the whole thing comes together, it's plug and play, and we're just testing. We're not generating code, at that point. So otherwise, we would have never made it. So the most challenging thing, of course, that there's technical challenges, but those things you can overcome, whether you ask someone who knows better than you, or you work together to achieve a common goal. Those things are always overcome. The important factor is to have people running the project that understand that some things need to happen in a particular amount of time, right? And with certain amount of budget. If you have that person who is running the project accordingly, I think you'll be on a good track of success.
Very cool. You know, Seth Godin talks about involving marketing at the product design stage, because marketing is that's a big part, is figuring out not just, hey, we built this thing, we have to promote it, but also, you know, what are the things that we're hearing from the market that we need to also incorporate into that? What is your feeling as an engineer and kind of master roboticist in terms of working with marketers? Do you ever do it? Do you hate it? Are they annoying as hell? What happens?
It's funny. It's funny you say you hate it, because before I started my own business, I was like, marketing is not for me, and that's it. That's the perception I had. And then I realized that, when I started my business, I was like, hey, I'm doing everything, and I'm also going to be doing marketing, at least in the beginning stages, because there's not enough funding for me to go hire someone, right? So
yeah, it makes sense.
And I think marketing is super important. One thing is, I would say, that is more important than marketing would be branding, but and this is just my opinion, right? But in the initial stages, when no one knows you, you have no branding, right? So you kind of have to go with that marketing. And for me, the way that happened is really going out and talking to people. So during my customer discovery phase, when I still didn't have a product at that point, right? So I knew I wanted to do robotics. I knew who the demographic I wanted to serve, but I didn't know what they needed. Like, what would I do? What product would I go to market with? And how would I let them know that I'm working on this product? So the easiest way for me was to go and ask people personally, right? So put the boots on the on the pavement, for to speak, and just go after people.
Smart.
And
Smart.
just ask them, build a relationship with them, see what their challenges are, see what they're complaining about, and what opportunities I get from that, right? And to my surprise, the more I talked to people, the more I saw their willingness to talk to me, and they were very enthusiastic about it, right? Because I was coming from it from a different angle. They never had someone, or they rarely have someone going to them, asking them about their challenges, their pain points, and how a company owner, right, would solve that for them. So I would say that was the most fulfilling part of starting my startup, because not only that I was getting my name out there, which that was not my intention. My intention was to find out what product to go to market with, but I was indirectly, putting my name out there, building relationship with people who are turning to be my customers now, right? That's, marketing 101 basically, right? Like the customers, without doing any paid marketing, I got customers just because I took the time to talk to them. And of course, I'm not saying don't do paid marketing, right? I'm just explaining you my journey, how I got there.
And I would say, don't forget, I mean, you invested the time, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So your marketing investment was your time.
Absolutely.
And it's really important to, think marketing is always an investment, and your time is something you always consider. Well, I mean, it sounds to me, certainly for an engineer, it sounds like you're a pretty good marketer to me. I mean, marketing is supposed to listen to the market and respond. Yeah. Listen to the market and respond. We're supposed to be constantly in that mode of listening first. And you did that first. And I think that is, I think that's to be commended. That's what we do around here, is listen.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that now, right? But when I first started doing it, I didn't know I was doing it, right? I didn't know I was doing marketing, right?
What product what product did you come to market with? I'm curious as to what are you coming to market with, or what did you come to market with?
My startup is called Robotics, and we develop assistive robotics to we're trying to reimagine and transform the senior care, the senior care industry, because
that's right.
Yeah, so they're the senior care industry is really outdated. A lot of people I talk to, they don't like to deal with insurance companies, so I did 2 years of research, basically 2 years of interviewing people one-on-one and going to their homes, bringing them to my home just to test out the product. And eventually, the product now is called the Ground Robotic Assistant for Care Enablement, which is a mobile robot, task-based robot that will help individuals with limited mobility, that have mobility challenges, perform various tasks without risking a fall, and by making them more independent, making their environment more accessible. That's our goal, really.
It's a killer robot exoskeleton for old people
it's
to make them
it's not an
dominate
exoskeleton.
Society. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I'm sorry.
It's not an exoskeleton. Eventually, you never know. It might be a killer robot, like it might take over, but we're not there today. No, but seriously, my goal is to help individuals become more independent and help their environment be more accessible. That's the underlying mission of our company. And it makes me happy to say that we have built a community around the company just by doing the work that I've done, just by taking interest in someone else's pain points and challenges, right? We built a community. Awesome. Yeah, and that's how we're moving forward. Today we produced a prototype, very quick and dirty. A lot of people vacillate on the perfect product, right? And there's no such thing. If you keep on pondering on what's perfect, you'll never get to do anything. So we just threw out a quick and dirty prototype that I built with a friend of mine in 3 months, and we started testing that, and we started collecting data from there, right? And the more people we tested the robot with, the more apparent the need was. So there you have it. Now we're raising our first round as a robotic startup company, and we're designing our minimum viable product. We already have 200 letters of intent to buy it, right? And we even have 2 assisted living facilities that are very much interested in doing pilot tests and purchasing the robot.
Does it just so I can kind of get a visual, it's an actual robot? I mean, it kind of walks around and helps seniors do stuff like a caregiver would do, except for it's like a Terminator. Not like a Terminator, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a robot. It doesn't walk. It has wheels, but wheels, a base, a body, and then 2 arms, right? It will have 3 cameras, a screen, just 2 facilities, and we're focusing on 4 main tasks, which are retrieval, communication, inspection, and infection control. So when I say infection control,
no doubt,
like cleaning common areas, right? Disinfecting them, things of sort.
Wow, that is really cool. So it's kind of like a little bit larger version of WALL-E from Disney.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's going to be about 5'8", between 5'6" and 5'8" height-wise.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So because for people with mobility challenges, you have to think about reaching up to get things, right? So, for example, all that stuff. I never thought about that stuff, and now I know about that because I did the research. People told me that they have a lot of problems reaching up to their cupboards to grab a cup, grab a plate, whatever the case may be.
Right.
So and unfortunately, our homes these days are not very accessible. They're not built having in mind those who are old in age, mobility is limited, or those who are using wheelchairs, those with various disabilities. We don't consider these people when we're actually building our environment. So that's why my goal was, one of my goals is to make the environment more accessible, and hopefully we'll be able to do that with this robot.
Can a robot walk upstairs?
This particular one, it can't, but
because it has wheels.
It has wheels, exactly. But there has been many robots that have built along the way that are able to. Even today, we have many robots, like the Boston Dynamics have many variations of robots that can walk upstairs. But the thing is, with something that is going to go out to public, you have to keep in mind the affordability of the technology, right?
Right.
If people can't afford it, even if you have state-of-the-art equipment, right? I mean, you don't have a viable business, and you're not helping anybody, right? So
Yeah.
that's really a
So
goal.
you would market it to assisted living centers. They buy the robot, and then they pass on the cost to their folks, or they reconcile it with payroll of how many staffers they'd have to have. Things like that, right?
However they do that, it's up to them really. But we're doing something called robot as a service business model, and what that means is that we're leasing the robot. So that way, that way you're not really paying $20,000-$30,000 for the robot, or $15,000.
Expensive, right?
Yeah, you're paying $2,000 a month. So instead of and we'll take care of the maintenance and all of that stuff, and hopefully for the assisted living facilities, which we're doing, it will reduce operational cost to them, right? You will get more productivity from your caregivers without overstaffing. And even if they wanted to overstaff, the caregivers are in short supply these days. The turnover rate is 77%. So the robot is a helping hand to the caregiver. You're reducing their burnout.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great business model. And where you are right now is you're testing the robot. You have the robot built. You're testing the robot. You have letters of intent. You're raising Series A.
No.
When
we have a prototype. We have a prototype. We tested the prototype. The market, we really have a market proven, and we have the letters of intent. We have designed the robot, the minimum viable product. We've designed it, and now we're raising our funds, a seed round, if you will, to build to really build the MVP and run pilot tests. And we envision that to be within the first 8 to maximum 12 months. We'll have a robot for the market.
Now, most of my listeners, and of course my highly scientific, experience with robots comes from movies and things like that. So, what kind of protections are you concerned at all about a robot like that getting smarter than you want it to get, and kind of going off the rails and doing bad stuff? Are you at all afraid of that?
Look, we are building the robot, right? So I say this all the time. Regardless of what we're building, it's all about the intention. What's your intention from the technology, right? And for me here, my intention is to help people, and hopefully people see it that way. Are there going to be bad actors in the coming age of technology? Of course, like during any time, you always have people who do good, you have people to do bad. So for us, it's really how to protect the robot from interferences, so signal interferences, right? So other people cannot hack into it. That's a concern. And we can easily do that. That's not an issue. Of course, we have to partner with the facilities that we're deploying these robots into. Everybody needs to understand their role, right? And everybody needs to understand the capacity of the robot, right? To what extent they could push the envelope, right? And we're kind of talking about ethics right now, like ethical use of the robots, right? Which is a big deal. That's why you see Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, and Twitter, and all of them that went to testified in front of Congress, right? And all these lawsuits that arise. So there's always, data is the most valuable thing we have these days. And obviously any tools you put out there, it's collecting data in one way or the other. Now, what's happening with that data, right? What's happening with that data? Then you start asking questions about, safety, security, privacy, all of that discussions will come in. Now, in terms of the robot taking over, I don't see it happening. At least in our case, I don't see it happening. and today we're closer to that place, but we're not. I don't think we're there yet. Maybe another 3 to 5 years. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. It's I mean, you know, it's we kind of laugh or whatever, but you know, I mean, you could, science, almost all the things that we kind of will into existence, you know, a lot of them came from science fiction at first. So, you know, so it's definitely possible. And
Yeah,
James
absolutely.
Cameron came out this week and said that he goes, I warned you about AI in 1984. He goes, a lot of people didn't listen. He goes, and
Well,
if you think
that's the
what's
thing.
Terminator's
AI,
not possible, he goes, you weren't paying attention.
yeah, the first boom
Yeah.
of AI was in the 80s, around 84, right?
Yeah.
That was when the first boom of AI. People think that AI came along in the last 10 years. I'm like, no, it didn't. It was in existence since the 60s.
Been working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but now the difference now is that we have a lot more data to go from, right?
Exactly.
And 90% of the data came to us in the last 2-3 years. So,
yeah.
And I mean, that's a lot of data that we don't know what to do with.
Interesting. So tell me, my show's about marketing, you know, so what's in your marketing mix right now? You've got a good startup. I mean, you've got a great idea, a remarkable product. You've got great credibility in terms of doing it. How are you telling your story out there?
Usually right now, this is what I'm doing, right? This is how I approach. I tell them about my experience in robotics, how it got me through to this point, and how I did my customer discovery phase, build that relationship. But I did, so my mentor, who's the founder of Priceline, Ubit, Booking.com, he's more versed than I am, and more experienced, of course, on the marketing and branding side. And when I first started my company, I knew nothing about startups. I knew nothing about entrepreneurship. I come from I spent 16 years in the aerospace and defense industry, so I was groomed in the corporate world, right? So the first thing I did when I started my company, I said I need to go get me a mentor, someone who's done this before me, right? And
smart, very smart.
So I was fortunate enough to come across Jeff, and he's been helping me kind of position the company.
Jeff who? Just so I know.
Jeff Hoffman.
and he's from Priceline and Booking, right?
Correct. Cool. Priceline.com, Booking.com, Ubit.com, and many other companies. I mean, his first invention was the self-check-in kiosks at the airport. So the man knows. Nice. Yeah, the man knows what he's talking about and what he's doing, right? And now when we talk about marketing, it's more like, who are we marketing this to, right? Right now, our goal is to market to both customers and investors, because at the end of the day, investors need to see our vision, need to see the market, the market viability, right? And to get on board.
And not end customers, right? You mean facilities as your B2B customers.
Correct. But so initially we
went marketing after,
initially we went after end users, because our goal initially was to put these robots in homes, because more and more people we found, because through our research we found that more and more people want to stay in their homes as they age, right? So
it would be good. Yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah. So and the challenge there was that caregivers were super expensive to bring them to home, and that is if you can find the qualified caregiver to come to your home. Otherwise, it's your family members, who we call the unpaid caregiver, who are taking care of their loved ones, right? Initially, that was our goal. But then quickly we realized that, okay, it's going to be tough for them to pay for it without insurance. And that's why we pivoted, went to assisted living and senior care facilities.
Makes sense.
Now we market to them. And how do we market to them? Right now, we're talking direct, right? We're talking direct because, we don't have a product ready. So we want people who can give us letters of intents. Just tell us that, just hopefully they see the value, which they are. And that's why we have letters of intents from several institutions. But yes, to your point, we're marketing it specifically to assisted living facilities today.
Very cool, man. Well, this has been great. So, so Harout, how can people learn more about your company or you, and how can people get in touch with you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn under Harout Makarian, the way it's spelled on the screen there. My Markbotics website is markbotix.com. And social media, Harout, Twitter, and you can get all of that from my LinkedIn and my website. So LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and I do have my own website, haroutmakarian.com. So I'm all over the place.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. What have we learned, folks? We learned so much about, the way that Harout's doing marketing, which is very personal and very relationship driven, sort of in a world of marketing automation and things like that just sort of bother and annoy people. So we definitely see that Harout's doing things the right way. We've also learned that he's almost sure that this robot will not become self-aware and take over grandma's house or the assisted living facility and hold it for ransom or anything. We're excited about to see what Harout's company is able to do with robotics. Hey, that's it for me. We will see you next time on May the Best Brand Win on InterTalk Media. Thanks very much, Harout. Appreciate you being on the show today. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.